Ooh, welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Granny Hulkster herself, better known as Granny Hulkster, Laurie Burt on Zoom with me. How you doing, Laurie?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me, Scotty. It's an honor and a pleasure to be able to join you today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Greg Gilbert reached out to me. He knows I'm a big wrestling fan, and he said, I think you would have a good time interviewing Granny Hulkster herself. And I'm like, absolutely. Give me your information. And here we are.
Here we are.
Absolutely. So the first question I have for you is, how did you become a fan of professional wrestling to begin with?
Well, I've always been a fan. Growing up, I've always liked wrestling. I used to live in Kansas. That's where I was born and raised. So I was very familiar with the Kansas City area, the wrestlers, Harley Race, Bulldog Bob Brown, Bob Geigel, Rufus R. Jones. You name it. The list goes on and on and on and on, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Harley Race, absolute legend. Absolute legend. Like there's no other word that really can describe.
I actually had the opportunity to get to see Harley again back when traditional championship wrestling was running in Arkansas. He was there with his son Leland. I'm very good friends with his son Leland and Leland's wife Stacy O'Brien. They're very good friends of mine. I've known them for several years. I used to watch Leland wrestle at independent shows here in Arkansas before, and just a great family, great guy. Great people. I've never made it to one of their events in Troy, Missouri, World League Wrestling. Hopefully someday I can, but never made it up there yet. But I really, Leland and Stacy are great people.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So I'll call it a gimmick, Granny Hulkster. Like, you're Granny Hulkster. So how did you come up with this and decide that I'm gonna use this gimmick to yell at the bad guys at
Well,
professional?
I can't take credit for the name.
Okay.
The name I got from a former coworker of mine. One day we were in the break room and he says, "I'm going to start calling you Granny Hulkster." And I said, "What?" He says, "I'm going to start calling you Granny Hulkster." I said, "Why?" And he says, "You love wrestling." I said, "Yeah, I love wrestling, but where'd you come up with that?" I just thought, oh, this is just crazy. It'll never stick. It'll never last. Well, a very good friend of mine, Lynn Burton, she made me my original Granny shirt, which I still have, and it's still in pretty good shape. I still wear it.
Nice.
And anybody that has seen my Facebook page sees me in my Granny shirt. What you gonna do when Granny Hulkster goes crazy on you? And I started wearing it to the independent shows, and the wrestlers just, they call me Granny, their spouses call me Granny, their kids call me Granny, the fans call me Granny. Then Lynn made me another shirt, Granny Hulkster, Queen of TCW, when TCW was running. I have a pink one. I don't wear that very often, but it says the one, the only Granny Hulkster. In the back it says, "Hey, shut up and wrestle." I don't wear that very often. I think I wore that one once or twice. I wore it to a special show that some wrestlers were doing to raise money for breast cancer one October. Like I said, I'm not even sure where that shirt is. I haven't seen it for a while, so I'm not even sure. It's packed away somewhere, I'm sure. But I still wear the Granny Hulkster. I still wear the Queen of TCW one. Then I have my Wrestling for a Cause shirt that has the name Granny Hulkster on it that I had made for me that I wear when I go to Wrestling for a Cause. Wrestling for a Cause is an organization out of Oklahoma. Tim Rockwell, he is the founder and owner of Wrestling for a Cause, and they do wrestling shows for kids fighting childhood cancer.
Oh, nice, nice.
The organization's been around a little over 10 years, and I've pretty much been helping WFC pretty much from day one. So I'll pick up merchandise for Tim or whatever he needs done. I help him with the company I help, and like I said, I don't like the heels. I do not like the heels. So Granny's job is to holler at the bad guys. They tell me to sit down and shut up before I break a hip, or they'll say, don't you have a curfew at the nursing home? One of my good friends, Brad Eubanks, he goes by the name of Fuel from UWE over in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. He was being the bad guy one night, and he got in my face. Granny, don't you have a curfew at the nursing home? And I grabbed my keys out of my purse and I doubled up my fists. I had my keys in my hand and I accidentally popped him in the nose. And I said, baby, I don't need no curfew. I got keys to the building. So I never know what these guys or girls are going to say to me. I never know, I always got to be one step ahead all the time because I'm always having to think. A really good friend of mine, Running Wolf, Anthony Pritchett, he wrestled with Fuel and them and did his own company for a while. And he, a few years ago, he posted something on Facebook. He says, it's funny when you get a better pop and you're more recognizable than most professional wrestlers, they should really take notes. I'm giving you a compliment to what you do. Well, the memory thing pops up on Facebook, and he says, still very true today. You mentioned the name Granny Hulkster in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and the fans will recognize her more than they might the current professional wrestlers. And I'm not a wrestler, people, listeners. I am not a wrestler. I am just a fan. Yes, I've been handcuffed to a manager before. I've been threatened to been thrown in the ring before. I mean, I've had wrestlers land in my lap.
Nice.
They, the last show that Traditional Championship Wrestling did, Tommy Dreamer was part of an 8-man elimination tag team match.
Nice.
Well, they got down. It was Tommy Dreamer, Americo, Scott Phoenix, and King Shane Williams against Matt Riviera and the Empire, which consisted of Golden Boy Greg Anthony, Tim Storm, and Steve Anthony. Nice. Well, Golden Boy Greg Anthony, I always called him Golden Girl. That was my name. That was my nickname for him, Golden Girl. So I got down to Matt and Tommy. Well, Tommy, I was having to walk with a cane at the time because I hadn't had my first knee replacement yet. I had one of those fold-up canes. So he grabbed the cane out of my hand. And they're like, oh my God, he's got Granny Hulkster's cane. And Brian Thompson's like, Granny, what do you think you're doing? This isn't fans bring your own weapons match, and he knocked him out on the floor and he was twisting the cane. And then, he walks down and he swings the cane. It looks like he broke it. And they're like, oh my God, he broke Granny's cane. And he comes and takes the cane and tucks the handle under Matt's tights and pulls up on the cane and gave Matt a wedgie to the point it made him start hopping like a bunny rabbit.
Nice. So
then he hands me back my cane. He says, Granny, he says, you might want to sanitize this. It's really stinky right now.
Nice. So do you yell at the bad guys and get this type of reaction at WWE or AEW events at all?
Well, I have only been to one WWE event in my life, and that we were on the floor. We had floor seats, but we weren't really close enough to the ring where, the thing about WWE, AEW, I would love to go to AEW. I have a lot of friends that have actually gotten to wrestle for AEW Dark here recently, nice. A lot of independent wrestling friends of mine. The thing about WWE and AEW, you don't get to the interaction, in my opinion. You don't get to do the interaction like you do at the independent shows level. Just security and that, and that's understandable, But I've got a few heels that Granny would like to say a few choice things to if I ever have the opportunity.
Nice.
The Miz for one. I'd like to, MJF from AEW. I'd like to say a few choice things to MJF, maybe, tell him if he thinks I think if I had the opportunity to say anything to MJF, I think I would say something to the point, if he told me to sit down and shut up, I think I would have to say, little boy, if you think you're man enough to make me sit down and shut up, why don't you go ahead and try? Because you're kind of short. You're shorter than I am. And I don't think you're man enough, Maxwell, to make me sit down and shut up. So, but I don't know if I'll ever get that opportunity.
I have a funny story about MJF. I live in Baltimore, and I met MJF. It was back in February, mid-February. There was a signing. There was some type of signing in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And it was like maybe 20 minutes from where I live. And I met Lita, Adam Cole, Jay Lethal, Deborah, MJF, and there's a lot of other wrestlers there as well. And MJF was there. And right when I was getting ready to get my picture with them, $75 to get a picture, but I mean, he's MJF, but which is worth it for me. But I got to meet him, and I got, give me a second, sorry. So I got a couple of pictures of him getting a permanent marker, and he wrote on there L, and he goes, that's what CM Punk is, and you're also like CM Punk, you're both losers. And he wrote, right, and I got a couple of pictures of him doing that, and then I got a picture of him, and then I got, of course, the regular picture. And when he said that, and then I said, so you think I'm a loser like CM Punk? He's like, damn right you are. I said, well, guess what, CM Punk is gonna get his revenge on you, I guarantee it. He looks at me like, I beat him twice. I don't think he can do it a third time. And then I said, come on, everybody. I'm looking at everybody in the crowd, everybody there. I'm like, come on, CM Punk, CM Punk. The whole place started erupting with CM Punk. He stands up and he like, flips his chair. He's like, shut up. He's going.
That's awesome. Well, you kind of, I got to share a story. A good friend of mine that lives in New York, he actually was at the airport waiting to fly to Kansas City because he was going to his grandfather's funeral. And I guess MJF was there, and Wardlow and Sean Spears. And MJF came up to my friend, and he actually, and I still to this day, when my friend told me this story, and this was pretty recent, he says, do you know a lady from Arkansas by the name of Granny Hulkster? And my friend says, yeah, she's one of my best friends, Maxwell, she's one of my best friends.
Oh, yeah, put yourself on mute. Nope, still muted. There
Sorry
you go.
I had a call coming. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I had a call coming in too.
I had a call coming in, but anyways, I forgot to mute my phone. But so anyways, getting back to the story, somehow MJF has heard about Granny Hulkster. I'm just not sure how. Nice. And my friend told Maxwell, he says, Maxwell, she's a really sweet lady, but she would probably take your scarf and cut it up with a pair of scissors.
Nice.
And the Miz, of course, the Miz knows about Granny, and my friend went to the Royal Rumble, and he heard my friend talking in the crowd, mentioning my name, and every time he mentioned my name, my friend said Miz would crack a smile, so it's kind of funny because my friend is flying in to Kansas City on the 28th of March and driving here to Arkansas, to Springfield, Arkansas, where my family and I live. Nice. And he's picking me, my husband, and my son and I up, and we are going to Dallas for WrestleMania. We are going to Texas for WrestleMania. So I'm looking very forward to that trip at the end of this month.
That's exciting. So what match are you looking forward to the most?
We're going to go to WrestleCon, I believe, one day, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's exciting. Yeah, I went to two WrestleManias, WrestleMania 15 in Philadelphia and WrestleMania 29 in New Jersey. And I absolutely, it's a blast. If you haven't gone, it's an experience you'll never forget for the rest of your life. It's really.
This will be our first WrestleMania. I mean, yeah, we're going to have nosebleed seats, but you know what? I don't care. When I told my 35-year-old son that my friend told him we were going, He says, bro, have you ever had the dream of wanting to go to WrestleMania? And Anthony's like, well, yeah, you know. And
Everyone does.
he says, you, me, your mom and dad, we're all going to WrestleMania. And I thought Anthony was going to be like, I thought he was going to start doing that little happy dance. He was just, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super fun. So what are you looking forward to for WrestleMania 38? What are you looking forward to the most? Like what match and all that?
Well, I've heard that Stone Cold Steve Austin has a match with Kevin Owens.
I heard the same.
And I really hope that that's going to be night 2, because that's the night we have tickets for.
Okay.
I would love to see, I'm just really, I don't really care what matches I see really per se. I'm going to be excited that I have a feeling, because I'm going to try to go to maybe a couple of independent shows while we're there, because I have a lot of friends that are going to be there wrestling that wrestle in Texas normally, that I normally don't get to see wrestle unless they come up here to Arkansas or Oklahoma. Yeah. So I'm hoping I get to see a lot of my Texas friends. I may not have a voice left by the time I get back from this trip. I mean, the way I holler sometimes.
I can believe that.
Sometimes Granny always does not have a voice the next day.
Yeah, I was like that. I went to Royal Rumble in 2000 and I believe it was 18. I did go to 2015 and 2004. They were all in Philly, all 3 of them that I went to. But was the one with the first ever women's Royal Rumble. I believe it was 2018 when Shinsuke Nakamura won the men's and Asuka won the females. And once Lita entered at number 3, my voice was shot. And it's like, oh my God, I still have like another like 55 minutes of this match.
Well, I know Lita's going to be at WrestleCon, and I know Trish Stratus is amongst the list, and they just keep adding more names constantly. Yeah. There are several people that I have seen before that I'm going to say hi to. Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express, are my favorite tag team ever. My husband and I, we got a picture of Ricky and Robert together, and Robert put his WWE Hall of Fame ring on my finger for the picture, and I didn't even ask if I could wear it. And I'm like, okay, I got to see Ricky and Robert. I want to meet Tommy Wildfire Rich. I've always been a Tommy Wildfire Rich fan. I know he's going to be there. I've met Ron Simmons before, and I know he's going to be there, so I'd like to say hi to him again. My son and my husband and I are going to a Comic-Con here in Arkansas the 19th of March, and Booker T and Ted DiBiase are supposed to be there at that Comic-Con, and I know they're both going to be at WrestleCon. So if I get the opportunity to talk to them, I'm hoping to get to say hi to them again. That's awesome. When we go to WrestleCon. Nice. There's just so many names. I know Scott Hall was supposed to be there, and I saw on social media where he actually fell and broke his hip, and he's in the hospital. So I don't look for him to be able to be at WrestleCon, which is very sad. So prayers go out to Scott Hall. I mean, there's so many wonderful names of people that I want to try to at least speak to. If I don't do nothing else, just say hi to them,
Right.
But,
absolutely. I know when I met Lita, talked to her for a little bit before our picture. We got our picture, and then I asked her for a favor, and she's like, sure, what's up? I said, well, my dad passed away. He was battling brain cancer for 5 years, and he passed away last August. And one of my really good friends, never met him a day before in my life. He's from England, and he's a big fan of yours. Like, he's a big fan of yours. And he asked me if I would be able to ask you if you could say hi to him on video. And she's like, absolutely. She goes, let me take the next picture. You go over there and set up the video chat, and then I'll give him say hi to him. And I set it up. She got a picture with the next fan in line, and I ended up showing her putting him on video, and she said hi to him, and she thanked him for being a good friend of mine, and she looks forward to meeting him in England one day and all that stuff. It was like really cool. That's awesome. It was really cool. Awesome. Like, she didn't have to do that. Like, she went out of her way to do that. And it wasn't like she was making money off this. She made money off of me, but, to get a picture and all that with her. But she didn't have to do that go the extra mile, and she did.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, my son, a little history about my son. He's 35, but he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at 11 years old. And we recently found out that he met the criteria for autism spectrum disorder, which is probably telling me that he was probably autistic all of his life too, and it was just never recognized.
Yeah.
So he is very excited. I mean, I know Lita is somebody, he's wanting to meet Lita really bad. Her and Trish Stratus for sure. And so, and I've heard that Lita's really super nice anyway. So I'm anxious to really get to meet Lita and just.
Yeah, I never met Trish Stratus. I heard good things about meeting her. I've never met her, but Lita, I can personally say that she is probably one of the coolest people I've ever met out of wrestling personalities.
So I'm excited. I know Mickey James and Nick Aldis are going to be there, and I've met Mickey James before. Another funny story: when my friend worked at the airport, Alexa Bliss and Mickey James was coming by, and he mentioned the name Granny Hulkster, and Mickey says, "Oh, Granny Hulkster, I remember her, sweet lady." But she says, nice. "Bliss, you wouldn't want to piss her off and make her mad."
Nice. So with the name Granny Hulkster, are you a Hulk Hogan fan by any chance? I know you gave us a history.
Yeah, I always liked Hulk Hogan. I mean, not so much when he was part of the NWO as Hollywood Hogan, Yeah. And everybody teases me, Granny, when are you going heel? When are you going to start wearing the black and white, the NWO? And I'm like, well, this Granny is not for the heels, okay? I mean, my son, he likes to call me Granny Villain because at WFC, Tim Rockwell, he is known as the natural born villain. And the only time I root for him and Thrash in a tag team match, or him and Thrash in individual matches, is if they're wrestling somebody from the Cartel or somebody from the Johnnies. I don't like those group of people. So I'll root for the villains then. But normally I will not root for Tim Rockwell. I will not, because he's part of, he's a heel for the most part. And I don't like the heels, I got to give him grief. But, my son, he teases me, oh, Granny Villain, and I'm like, no, I'm not Granny Villain. I'm right. So I would like to meet Hulk Hogan. I've never have met him, but I would like to.
Nice. And you heard it here first. If you end up going heel, then you could be Hollywood Granny Hulkster.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, my son calls me that too. So you've been talking to my son, Scotty, behind my back.
Maybe I have.
Or you've been talking to somebody that you've been secretly talking to somebody. Just kidding, fans.
Absolutely.
I mean, just kidding. I had to throw that in there, Scotty.
Not a problem. I love it. So what do you think about Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame? And do you think that Undertaker should be a solo inductee?
I think it's awesome. I think he should have been in there probably a lot sooner than what I think he should have been inducted years ago.
Right.
But I think it's awesome that he's getting to be a part of the WWE Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. And it's weird because if you think of some of the names that aren't inducted yet, The Rock isn't in the Hall of Fame yet, believe it or not. No. And there's rumors that he's going in next year as the headliner with Batista. I'm assuming The Rock will be the headliner because they're going to be in LA next year. So that's the rumors, because they obviously Undertaker's going in this year because they're in Texas. He's from Texas, and he's not going to be in. From what I heard, he's not going to be a solo inductee, which I think he should have been like an Andre the Giant. Going in as his own person, the only one in the class. Because
I agree. I agree, but there's so many great people. I mean, Vader.
Yep.
Yes, he definitely deserves to be in there. I mean, anybody that gets nominated for the WWE Hall of Fame, they definitely deserve it. I mean, some should have been put in years before than what they were, but I'm just glad that the Undertaker's getting to be in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally. And I even think Luna Vachon should be in there. And I mean, in the actual Hall of Fame, she's like a legacy member. She needs to be in her own like class, because she's iconic for sure. So before we wrap things up, I know you're, from what I understand, you're a co-host of Attitude Era Live, the podcast. Can you tell us a
Yes,
little
I
bit
am.
about that?
Well, sure. Monday nights, 9 o'clock Central Time to 11 Central Time on 89.1 Ken's FM. We do Attitude Era Live, Monday Live. I am a co-host with the Icon, the Big Swing, when he can join us. Sometimes his work schedule doesn't allow him to be on. We've been having a guest host, Matthias, helping us out here the past several months. You know, it's lots of fun. We have lots of different guests. We have anybody from independent wrestlers. We have legend wrestlers. We have TV stars. We have directors. We have musicians. You never know who we're going to have on.
Yeah.
And so check it out. You know, Monday night, we've got our own Facebook page, Attitude Era Live, Monday Live on Facebook. Check it out. If you want to find out more about Granny Hulkster, my Facebook page is Laurie Burt, you know, and I have Granny Hulkster in parentheses. My profile picture is of me in my Granny Hulkster shirt. And I'm a Chiefs fan, so my cover photo is, you know, my Kansas City Chiefs logo thing, you know, but we just have a great time on Monday nights. So join us, you know, if you can, you know, check out some of the old broadcasts, you know, but we used to do it on Blog Talk Radio, you know, all the time, and we got connected with Ken's 89.1 FM, and
Yep.
so that's how we kind of do our shows now.
That's
So
exciting. I know Greg Gilbert put me in touch with the Icon Scott, and I spoke to him, and I'm assuming I'm allowed to say this, but he wants me to come on the show. I'll be there. Oh, we picked a date in November. Can't remember it off the top of my head, but I will be joining you guys in November.
awesome.
Talk a little bit about wrestling, a little bit about my projects as a filmmaker
Awesome.
and author and all that. So looking forward to joining you guys and talking a little bit about all that. And I will give you guys a listen as well. I know Greg put me in touch with you guys, and you guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I thank you so much for joining me today for
Well,
this.
you're very welcome anytime. I would love to be able to come back anytime and, you know, do another interview. And
Absolutely.
you know, we just have a lot of fun. I mean, you know, like I said, I'm looking forward to the trip to Texas for WrestleMania. I'm counting the days down. I'm Xing my days off my count. Yesterday it was like 4 weeks from yesterday, so we're leaving the 30th of March. So looking forward to it.
That's exciting. Definitely have a great time. I will be obviously watching from home. I love WWE and AEW, so looking forward to you know, watch WrestleMania 38 on Peacock. It's going to be exciting. So I have a blast and have a great time. Have a safe
Well, plan
travels
on it.
there, and
Thank you.
thank you so much again. You have a great rest of your day, Granny
You do
Hulkster.
the same.
All right,
You do the
bye.
same. Bye-bye.